Virtual reality is coming to the iPhone with Google Cardboard.
Windows 10 is coming, but should you jump in on day one? Welcome to Vertical Hold, the tech show where we channel surf through the headlines in search of the big picture. I'm Alex Kidman, and I'm joined by a man with pure broadband running through his veins, Adam Turner. Adam, what's new in tech?
Download speeds on the new fibre to the node sections of the national broadband network will be temporarily capped at 12 megabits per second in areas where the new technology runs alongside older ADSL 2+ connections. The speed cap is designed to reduce interference between the two technologies and could last more than 12 months in areas where the technologies coexist in the same suburb.
Telstra has announced that it's signed up Woolworths as a new wholesaler. Woolworths itself will then sell Telstra's 3G capacity under the Woolworths mobile brand. This isn't the first time that Woolies has had a go at being a mobile operator. It used to run a service under Optus several years ago. It won't quite have the same features as Telstra because it's running on their wholesale network, which means it will be running neck and neck with existing competitor Aldi Mobile.
Google's Chromecast stick will let you play Android games on your television under upgrades planned for the tiny HDMI dongle. The new features will let you use your smartphone as a controller as well as support multiplayer games.
Netflix worried a number of its consumers recently when it appeared to be trialling ads on its subscription TV service. Not to worry, says Netflix. We're just trialling trailers for our shows so you know what kind of great content we've got. Now, depending on where you sit on the pessimism scale, this is either a slippery slope that leads to lots of advertising or just them promoting their own shows. So Adam, the NBN, which was meant to be this big broadband saviour of Australia, is coming at 12 meg. Are they kidding?
Yeah, it's kind of messed up, and I can understand how you could get all narky about it, and part of me wants to, but it also kind of makes sense.
A very big part of me wants to.
A big part of me wants to get narky. It kind of makes sense. What the gist of it is that during the transition period, there will be times where in your suburb there is both fibre to the node and ADSL 2+ as they roll it out. And they don't want the one to interfere with the other. So what they will do is slow down the fibre to the node to 12 megabits per second so as not to upset people's ADSL speeds. Of course, the problem with that is you might go from ADSL 20 megabits per second, move on to fibre to the node and drop back to 12 megabits per second for a year or more
so
while you wait for everybody else to catch up.
Put on, basically.
Pretty much, but like I said, it's hard to complain when you can see the reasoning behind it. But at the same time, it's part of the ongoing joke that was the national as we've said before, the NBN is dead. What we have now is a piecemeal, new look kind of sort of maybe NBN.
It's also, it's also genuinely galling when you consider that they were trumpeting so heavily the trials they did up in Umina of fibre to the node, where they were talking these massive speeds that they were punching through, and it later emerged, massive speeds for 1 or 2 users on an uncontested, ridiculous stuff. To then say, well, we'll put this stuff in, but it'll actually probably only maybe be as good as what you've got.
Possibly worse.
And at massive cost when there's a technology sitting right there that would do better without these issues. But, that's just crazy technical talk, obviously.
Yeah, but look on the flip side, if they didn't do this, and then as they went through suburb after suburb, they totally destroyed everyone's DSL connections for a year until they all switched over to fibre to the node, we would be outraged about that as well. So on this one issue, I can kind of see it from their side. They no matter what they do, they really can't win.
They put in fibre to the premises, they win, we win. It's not so hard.
Apart from doing it right, they really can't win.
Adam, Google usually has a bit of a tough time getting into the world of iOS, but it's having another stab at it with Cardboard. Now, explain this to me. Why should I care?
Well, Google Cardboard's been around for about a year, and it's basically your poor man's virtual reality. Rather than having your nice little Oculus Rift headset and the whole thing, basically what this does is it takes your smartphone and it holds it up in front of your face. This isn't quite as lame as it sounds. It sounds lame, but it's not too bad. What Google Cardboard is it's just a cheap cardboard frame designed to hold that smartphone there, and then you hold it up. It's been out for about a year.
Cardboard's kind of part of the charm, though, really. They're admitting, we know this is a bit naff, but hey, it's cheap and it's fun.
Exactly, that you can buy them online for a couple of bucks pre-made, or you can cut out a design and make your own. And basically what they're saying is this is this is an opportunity for everybody to get a foot in the door. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to invest in an Oculus Rift. Everybody can have a go at this. So that's been around for about a year. Now, in that time, we've seen some of the Google Cardboard style apps come to iOS. So they are apps that will show the two scenes side by side, so your eye can put the two together and get your 3D effect. But now what Google has done is they've officially brought the Google Cardboard demo app into iOS, so you can get a bit more of a feel for how it works, and that will hopefully then bring developers along with it. And also they've rejigged the design for the actual Google Cardboard frame, so it will support more devices and it will support bigger devices. So they're trying to broaden the ecosystem.
So at some point we're going to be walking down the street and see someone with an iPad like right in front of their face.
Well, maybe. See, that's the thing. This thing is not really designed for walking or moving, and that's one of the things that I find a bit frustrating about it. It's not designed to strap up against your head. It doesn't really sit tightly the way that a pair of goggles would.
It's very much
hands. It's
my
like
own
an old
experience.
Viewmaster.
Yeah, my own experiences of it. It's very much a novelty, and frankly, and I know I'm not the only one in this particular situation. It's very much a novelty that wears off a little bit fast, but can also be extremely nauseating. It's really. I know you're known as a puker when it comes to this stuff. Everybody knows that you can't be in the same suburb as a 3D television. Well, I don't have that much of a problem. There is that, but because of the immediacy, because you've got this thing so close to you, the effect can be really good. But I certainly found I could not cope with it for more than about 30 seconds a minute before I started thinking, oh, wait, no, my inner ear's just going on me.
Not happy.
It makes me wonder, is this just another of Google's little experiments?
Well, it does have potential. One of the things that frustrates me about it is not so much the queasiness of it, but more that I've used more advanced systems like zero latency, which is built in Melbourne. You put on an Oculus Rift headset and you can actually walk around in a warehouse in a real 3D environment. Once you've done something like that, the idea of sitting there on a chair and just looking around and holding this thing up to your face seems a bit sort of underrated. But most people haven't tried that yet.
That HTC's Vive.
Yeah, the HTC Vive looks very similar. Once you've tasted stuff like that, and it'll be a while before your average person gets to have a go at that, but once you have, this stuff seems kind of tame. One of the things that I thought was interesting is they've also introduced something called Google Expeditions, and it's designed to allow teachers to control a classroom full of Google Cardboard devices from a tablet up the front. So you can go on a school excursion and the teacher can take everyone at the same speed.
Is this finally the realisation of Lisa Simpson's dream?
Yes.
To go with Genghis Khan and eat who he eats?
Pretty much. So you will be able to walk the entire class through the Louvre or through some natural history museum and, make sure that little Johnny doesn't sneak off because you'll all be kept in sync. That kind of thing probably lends itself better to the sitting in one place looking around than something like the Oculus Rift does. So it has potential there, but whether it will take off, whether it will just be a novelty, whether this is just the very early prototype or something better to come, we'll have to wait and see.
It strikes me as there's a classroom full of people all with Google Cardboard in front of their faces. Little Johnny's just putting his down and running off for a smoke because no one's looking at him. But apart from that, I think it's got some promise. We finally have a release date for Windows 10. It's July 29th it's going to hit. But, Adam, should the average person be rushing out to get in bed with Windows 10?
No. In a nutshell, no. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Wait.
But Microsoft's very keen for people to upgrade. I mean, massively,
of course it is.
Massively keen for them to upgrade.
Of course it is. Microsoft always is.
Why not?
It's interesting. They've actually said you can have, if you're running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1, you can have it for free, but you must upgrade in the first year because this is what kills them, that so many people lag behind on XP or, God forbid, Vista or Windows 7. So they're trying to move everybody up, and that's reasonable. And I would suggest if you do want to upgrade, do it in the first year. Do not do it on the first day. It's not your job to be a beta tester. Don't break your computer to help other people find the bugs. I would wait at least 6 months, wait and see if there'll be some kind of service pack. Don't do it to yourself. Unless you're a nerd like us, unless you break computers for a living, don't do it.
Yeah, we were built to suffer, and certainly we will be there day one. But
yes.
And I've spent a bit of time with the early release versions, and with them having said, July 29th, you've got to think, well, the code's probably pretty final. And I mean, there's some interesting optimizations in there, but at the same time, and the same is true with other operating systems, it's very much a matter of tinkering around the edges at this point as well. And I suppose that's the other problem for upgrading. If your existing system does what you want it to do, that impetus to upgrade is not perhaps there. And that has some benefits because, as you said, you don't get the bugs. At the same time, of course, that's also got some security risks as well, doesn't it?
Well, it kind of depends on how old the operating system you're running is. But yeah, all vendors tend to prioritize their security updates for new operating systems. If you're still running Windows XP, don't. There are no security updates for it anymore. It is time to move on. If you bought your computer running XP, it is time to put it out the pasture and buy a new one. It had a good life.
I still see a lot of businesses, and this is purely anecdotal, but I still see a lot of businesses that are very clearly running Windows XP and even alarmingly the odd 98 or 95.
But it's a little bit different if you're a business and you've got the in-house skills and people to support it and you know what you're doing. That I can understand a little bit more than as a consumer.
These
as an
are
end
coffee
consumer,
shops. They're not, with all due respect to people who run coffee shops,
to people who make my coffee,
they're not generally hotbeds of having large-scale IT departments.
But you also hear about huge organisations who are still running it as well.
Sure.
Now is the time. Well, now is past the time to be getting off XP. And yes, you do want to stick with the newer operating systems for the security updates. But the primary job of your computer is to do what you need it to do. And if it's already doing what you need it to do, then don't unnecessarily put that at risk. That's what I'm saying. Not on day one. Wait until Christmas. Wait until the holidays. Wait until you got a little bit of downtime and you can afford for your computer to be stuffed for a day or two. That's when I try it.
Absolutely, or obviously wait until you're buying a new computer because it's, after I suppose there will still be some machines being sold outside of the corporate channels, which are a little different. In consumer land, there will still be machines being sold with Windows 8, probably through to Christmas when they actually exhaust those stocks. But certainly from August, there will be machines on store shelves with Windows 10 pre-installed. And then, of course, you don't get a choice, but you should get a machine that's well and truly capable of running the new operating system. There's also this suggestion, though.
To see what they do. Sorry, I was just going to say it'll be interesting to see what they do with downgrade rights as well. Because these days you can still buy, especially if you're a business, you can still buy a lot of computers pre-installed with Windows 7. Because basically what you do is you buy Windows 8, you exercise the downgrade rights to Windows 7, and then they do it for you and ship it to you with Windows 7 on it. I'll be interested to see if they're that tolerant with Windows 10 about how far they'll let people go back.
Yeah, well, I think that's a really interesting question because they've also said that they're radically modifying how they deal with patches. The software updates that, in fact, we're advocating people wait for. Because instead of doing them on a kind of regular fixed schedule, it's going to be this continuous rolling process. And this has born the idea that Windows 10 might be the last numbered version of Windows. This might be the one that they iterate out from. Or that the next one that they push through will follow what they've done with a lot of the rest of their software, which is instead of you just bought Windows 10, that you're going to subscribe to Windows 11. And that's also an interesting position for them to be in if they're going to be rolling updates all the time. Because eventually, everyone's PC, if you're watching this on a PC, if you're an owner of a PC, and let's say the odds are pretty good, then your PC is going to die at some point. I'm sorry to break this news to you, but it's it may be on its last legs now. It may be fresh new. You've just bought it out of the box, but it's going to die someday. You're going to have to replace it, and at that point, it's going to come with Windows 10 or with its successor, and that's where things also get interesting. Of course, right at the moment, Microsoft's not talking anything about its successor, but I'm certain that they're working on it. Well, that just about wraps it up for this episode of Vertical Hold. Remember, if you've got any comments, leave them on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, via Twitter, or just shout really loud and we still might hear you.
And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button.